Hey, thank y'all so much for watching my channel. Welcome to today's Still Missing. Now, as y'all know, I usually cover, 3 to 5 cases, and I usually cover some cold cases mixed in with some more recent cases. But today, they're all cold cases, and they're all children when they vanish. So it's a little bit more of a difficult video for me to make, just knowing that that's a child. But let me just do a quick disclaimer. I will probably, more than likely, pronounce something wrong because I'm Southern and some of these places I've never heard of. So I'm going to use my software to help me pronounce the words correctly, but I will let you know that... Really? Sorry about that. My dog's crazy. But anyways, I just wanted to make y'all aware that I am going to do my best to make sure that I say the names correctly. And also, with all 3 of these cases, there are 3 today, there is a lot of speculation and name calling out as to who people believe that is kind of behind these disappearances. And y'all know I don't like to name names unless they have been prosecuted for the crime, so I will link the web sleuths below because there's a lot of talk about a lot of people in these cases. So yeah, I will just leave it at that and leave that down there, and we can talk about it down there. But let's get started with today's Still Missing. 9-year-old Stephanie Lyn Crane was last seen October 11th, 1998 in Challis, Idaho, when her mother dropped her off at the bowling alley. She bowled with friends and left on foot afterwards. She was last seen walking on Highway 93 towards the Challis High School at approximately 6 p.m. that evening. The bowling alley was across the street from the school, and both were about 500 yards from Stephanie's house. Accounts differ as to whether Stephanie was going to the high school for soccer practice or whether she was headed to her family's residence. After Stephanie failed to return home, her parents contacted authorities around 9 p.m. An extensive search ensued, covering 7,000 square miles and spanned across 2 counties, but there was no trace of Stephanie found. A yellow pickup truck with red pinstripes was seen in the area around the time she vanished. It is thought that it is possibly connected to her disappearance. Stephanie's case remains unsolved. Stephanie had 3 younger sisters and was described as a tomboy who was a part of youth bowling league and enjoyed going hunting with her father. Unfortunately, both of her parents are now deceased. Authorities have 5 to 10 persons of interest in Stephanie's case, none of whom are family members. Stephanie Lyn Crane is classified as a non-family member abduction. She was 9 years old at the time of her disappearance, making her 33 today. She was 4 feet 2 inches tall and weighed between 65 and 85 pounds. She is described as a Caucasian female with brown hair and blue eyes. She has a cowlick on the right side of her hairline and a scar near her right eye. Her hair is described as very thick and curly, and her face has freckles. She also has a space between her 2 front teeth. Stephanie goes by the nickname Steffi. Stephanie was last seen wearing a maroon and white striped hooded sweatshirt with the words "Gimme" imprinted on the front, maroon sweatpants, and maroon and white tennis shoes. When authorities sought out one of the leads, it was because he had actually abducted another 14-year-old girl outside of her house in the early morning hours in 2002. He actually chained her to his bed, and she was able to escape when he was at work one afternoon. And when authorities went to arrest him, he ended up taking them on a 40-mile high-speed chase that ended up on a dead-end road in the Big Hole Mountain area. He then got out of his truck and shot a canine dog and killed him, and shot and injured an officer, and then turned the gun on himself and committed suicide. The reason why he was believed to be connected to Stephanie's case is the fact that he was known to be hunting in the area at the time which she disappeared, and he also drove a truck very similar to the description of the truck that was seen around her when she disappeared. At 2:30 p.m. on April the 28th, 1979, 12-year-old Christina Lee White called her mother, telling her that she felt sick from walking around at the county fair at Asotin, Washington. Her mother was unable to get to her because she did not have access to a car at the time. She told Christina to put a wet towel on her neck and to lie down and rest and come home when she felt better. Christina didn't call again, and her mother assumed that she had returned to the fair. Christina was last seen in the 500th block of 2nd Street sometime between 7 and 10 p.m. Her mother went to pick her up, but she wasn't there. Her classmates said that she had been on her way home when they last saw her. Christina was riding her white 10-speed bicycle at the time of her disappearance, with a basket in the front and a distinctive 3-inch wing nuts on the front wheels. She had received the bike as a birthday gift just 8 weeks before her disappearance. The bike has never been located. At the time of her disappearance, Christina lived with her mother and stepfather and was a member at the local Lutheran church. Although Christina's parents divorced when she was an infant, she had a great relationship with her father and actually planned on spending a whole month during the summer with him. She also had other activities planned, such as camping trips and baseball. Authorities believe that she did not leave on her own accord. Christina Lee White is classified as endangered missing. She was 12 years old at the time of her disappearance, making her 51 today. She is described as a Caucasian female with hazel eyes. She was 5'4" and 135 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She has brown hair and hazel eyes, and has noticeable white spots on the front of her teeth. Her ears are double pierced, and her nicknames are Chris and Chrissy. She was last seen wearing blue jeans, red leather sneakers, and possibly a tan and pink striped shirt. So upon my research, it looks like that authorities had a person of interest, and they want to tie Christina's disappearance with that of 3 murdered young women and then 1 male who is still missing. But the person of interest has never been publicly identified, and those murders and disappearances happened in Ohio. They all happened in the same night, but the person of interest also has ties to that area in town in specific. So I am really unsure where they went with that. But yeah, they never publicly identified him. However, he was one of the last persons to known to have been seen with Christina. So I'm wondering if he was a child at the time, like her. Was he a teenager, or was this a grown man? I don't know. If y'all find any more information out, more than I can find, then link it below. 13-year-old Keith Dean Fleming was last seen in Cocoa Beach, Florida on April the 28th, 1977. His parents had dropped him off at his girlfriend's house that was just north of his own after school. He was to return home after dinner. Keith and his girlfriend rode on her bike to the end of Osceola Street and State Street, where Keith then got off and said he was going to hitchhike the rest of the way home, which was actually common at the time for residents of Cocoa Beach. Keith's girlfriend's mother went back out when she learned that he had planned on hitchhiking, but by the time she arrived at the spot where his girlfriend dropped him off, he was gone. Keith enjoyed rock music, biking, and surfing, and frequented the Cocoa Beach Pier in 1977. He is the youngest of 3 sons and attended Roosevelt Middle School. He also attended Alternatives, which is a drug therapy center that his parents made him go to after they caught him with marijuana. His mother and brother still live in the Cocoa Beach area and continue to search for him, but his father has since deceased. Some have criticized the way the investigation was handled, stating that police were lax in following up on leads and conducted only one search for Keith. And the girl that last saw him, his girlfriend, was interviewed only once, several years later in 1993. Keith's case remains unsolved. Keith Dean Fleming is classified as endangered missing. He was 13 years old at the time of his disappearance, making him 54 today. He stood at 5 feet and weighed 90 pounds. He is described as a Caucasian male with blonde hair and brown eyes. Keith had previously fractured his left leg, which had since healed. He wore a partial dental plate at the time of his disappearance due to his front 2 teeth being knocked out in an accident. He's described as having full lips. His hair was cut recently before he disappeared, so it was noticeably shorter than the photographs shown. Keith was last seen wearing a t-shirt, jeans, sandals, and a gold chain with an Italian horn. So I told you I wasn't going to name names, but I will on this one, just for the sheer fact that it's this man is a heinous individual. Authorities strongly believe that a guy named Randy McCrae had something to do with the disappearance of Keith. He had murdered a 8-year-old boy when he was 16. And then he went on somehow to become a prison guard in Florida. And during that time, 2 inmates disappeared and another young boy disappeared. So they're kind of saying that they think that it kind of fits his profile, I guess. But he also likes to go to the pier where Keith used to hang out at and watch young boys. So he was convicted of murder of a 14-year-old in 1987, and it got overturned on an appeal, and then somehow he was tried again in 2005, May of 2005, and he was sentenced to life without possibility of parole, and he died 2 weeks later in his jail cell from ulcers and a GI bleed. So they had offered him actually immunity to, not get retried if he told them where the bodies of the missing boys were, and he claims his innocence. So his wife actually states that he did admit to her 2 murders, but Keith was not one of them. So who knows if they're connected or not, but I think that actually is a video I could probably go into, the disappearance of all 4 of those boys. So I might make that one in the future, so be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload my next video. And as always, PayPal and Patreon are linked below. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.